It was a successful weekend and I did manage to get the polytunnel clean. It's April, week 1, and I have 3 seeds to be sowing, 2 vegetables to be planting out into the plots. Now, for those of you that have been following our channel this year, you'll know that we made a new pea arch. Mrs. W christened it last week, and it will be forever known as the Mrs. W pea arch.
Oh my goodness.
I'm having a plaque especially made for it.
Good grief.
She's very happy with this because she knows that these peas will be able to stay here for as long as we need them, and I will no longer have to remove them to plant our beans. The time has come to plant them out. Now, your peas want to be around 6 inches tall by the time you go to transplant them into the soil. Peas are pretty frost tolerant. They're able to withstand temperatures down to about -5 or 6. If it's prolonged, then it will do them damage, but the odd night or two when it happens, it's not really going to affect them too much. With this being the first week in April, we're expecting our last frost during the second week of April. And as I always say, this doesn't mean that you won't get a frost after then, but we're not likely to really see them. And if they are, they're going to be actually much the same as it is now. We've seen nighttime temperatures of 1 degree, 0 degree, -1. By day it's been lovely, 12, 13, 15 degrees on some days. I think we're expecting 17 degrees Celsius this coming weekend. So it's fine to be putting them out. Now, these are in deep module cells, so we need to dig the hole quite deeply. And when you grow your peas in module trays first and not direct sow them, you want a spacing of about 3 to 4 inches. If you put 2 seeds in per cell and 2 germinate, then just put that spacing up to about 6 inches. We have pigeons that like to come into our garden. There's nothing more a pigeon likes than either brassicas or pea shoots, and they would continually peck away at these peas if we left them uncovered. The odd peck is not going to do a lot of damage, but just like we find with weeds, if they're continually pecked, eventually the root runs out of energy and then the plant dies. So we have to cover our peas. This is a bit of fleece. The fleece is serving 2 purposes. It's going to keep the pigeons from being able to get to these peas and peck at them, but also, like I said earlier in the video, we are still experiencing nighttime temperatures of only just above freezing. Some nights it's been -1, other nights it's sort of been 4 degrees, but nevertheless, it's a good idea whenever you plant new things out at this time of the year just to cover them with a bit of fleece or row cover, as some of you might know it. It just helps them settle in far more quickly into their new homes. And it's only a matter of 4 or 5 weeks, and then the covers come off, and they'll already be nice, strong plants at that time to grow away. That's the covering for the peas, part 1. There will be a part 2, and then a third thing that we shall do to defend our peas against pigeons. If you have the same trouble as us, pigeons circling around after your peas, and you want to see how we will go on to progress these and keep them safe from pigeons, the best way to do that is to ensure that you're subscribed to our channel, and that way YouTube will notify you whenever we bring out a video. Here in the raised bed, Mrs. W has erected a structure for the peas in here to grow up. Now, I didn't particularly want to go out and buy anything fancy, and over the years that we've kept chickens, we have used chicken wire. So some chicken wire, some of these stakes just through there just to hold it in position. The other thing to take note, and it also applies to the peas that you're going to put out into your plots, is that peas are tall plants and they can cast shadows and prevent sunlight from getting to any plants that are the other side of them. Hopefully this camera is showing that there is no sun behind me. That's because in our garden the sun starts down near our house and it's always on this side. And in that way the peas will always get the sunshine, but so will the other plants that are in here. And we shall just put those into their holes and they shall be away.
These are the Kelvedon Wonder, which aren't as tall growing as the Alderman, aren't they?
Yes, that's true, Mrs. W. I should have said that really, shouldn't I? Because, yeah, these have been chosen especially because they only grow to about 4 foot tall, and this will be more than enough. But Kelvedon Wonder is also a prolific harvesting pea. You get a lot of peas on the small plant, and you'll see that a bit later on in the season. And just as we did with the peas out in the plot, give them a good watering into their new home. Spacings are just the same as if they were outdoors, so single plants 3 to 4 inches, and if you've got 2 in each cell, then you can space them at 5 to 6 inches and they'll have enough room then to grow. The elephant garlic is looking really good. It actually germinated before the new year and is growing away nice and strongly. And next door to those, what I want to do next is to plant some more alliums, and these will be in the form of salad onions. These are a variety called Lilia, and they're a follow-on sowing. These salad onions will take around 10 to 12 weeks before they're ready for us to use. And I've actually digged more holes than I need for these plants. These will come up to somewhere about here. And then when you're doing follow-on sowings, as a rule of thumb and a method that I use, I'm transplanting these now, then I'm going to go and sow some more. And then they will then go in here where I've left the rest of this space. By adopting this kind of method, you will have salad onions continually all the way through the summer months. The sowing's in April week 1. We're going to start with the cucumbers, and this is our old favourite Pachysandra, and just going to put 2 seeds per cell in here because they're quite large cells. And we should give them a light covering of vermiculite. Stick a label in those and they can go into the water bath. Then we said about we didn't know whether or not we were going to sow the market more. Well, we're going for it. One way or another.
We'll find a space.
Yeah. And it might be actually, because I did want to do an experiment whereby we see how we get on growing these in a container. So that'd be a good experiment to do. So again, just cover with a bit of vermiculite. This time of the year they're not going to take long to germinate, and all of these that we're sowing today will go down to the house. This next one is new to us. It's a gherkin cucumber called Anelka. Mrs. W is very keen to try this.
I'm going to try pickling some of these gherkins if they turn out okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be great. Hopefully we see the gherkins before the summer is over.
Yes.
Because I do know number 2 son, he really likes a gherkin with his burgers when we have the barbecue, doesn't he?
Yes.
So let's get those covered over. And they're good to go, Mrs. W.
Brilliant.
Next, it's time to sow our courgettes. This one's called Goldenia. Then I've got Black Beauty and Romanesco.
That's our new one to grow, isn't it, the Romanesco? I'm quite looking forward to that.
Now, a big shout out and thanks to Steve, who told me that he's grown the Romanesco zucchini courgette before, and apparently it's a bit of a brute. It'll just keep running along your garden. So I did a little bit more research into it, and it is indeed a vining type of courgette. So I'm going to grow those over the pergola, Mrs. W.
Okay.
And see how we get on with those.
Yeah, why not?
And I know you're really interested in this, aren't you? Because Steve did actually confirm also that they have a wonderful nutty taste.
Oh, good. I didn't know that. I just saw him for the look of them.
That would be about right. You can see there's a theme here for April week 1 sowings. They're all cucurbits. We started with them, and now I shall finish the last sowing with another cucurbit. And we're doing 2 squash this year. We are doing Waltham butternut and our old favourite curry squash. Now, the butternut squash we actually found did really well just leaving it to trail on the ground, didn't you, Mrs. W?
Yeah, it doesn't seem to like to climb very much or be held up, so...
No, but the curry squash, we grow those really successfully over the pergola. So that shall be the case again this year. In fact, although they're starting to come to an end now, we actually still have butternuts and curry squash down in the house, don't we?
I
Mrs.
think we have
W?
1 curry squash left, but we've got about 4 or 5 of the butternuts, so that's good.
Yeah.
That's storing very, very well.
It's a great thing, if you haven't grown squash before, is that they do keep for a really long time and give you valuable food. And if you don't have a big enough plot to give them their own individual space, you can always try the 3 sisters method or do a 2 sisters method. That's what we do. Once we plant out the sweet corn, we run the butternuts all the way through the sweet corns, and then that same piece of ground is growing you 2 vegetables. I was having a conversation with John in the comments after Monday's video, and he was saying that he'd sown his seed potatoes but hadn't seen them break through yet, and they'd been in there for a while. Now remember, I did say that if you're going to sow your potatoes, chitting will mean that you will get your potatoes some 2 weeks or so earlier than normal. If you don't chit, they will take longer to come through. And actually I've got a really good example of this. This container here we sowed back in January. There's the label. It was a January sowing. When this seed potato arrived, we didn't have time to chit it because they arrived in January, and we wanted to try to start potatoes off in January. This one was sown in February, and you can see that it's grown a lot quicker than that one. In fact, all of these potatoes where they're lagging behind a bit, they were all the January sowings. So you can see that the February ones are just as big, if not bigger, than the January sown potatoes. The only difference is that they were not chitted in January. The ones in January, we were doing as a sort of experiment, and it has worked. We do have potatoes. January was still cold here in the polytunnel. So a learning from this year is that next year, when I start the first 4 off, Mrs. W is going to have company in her kitchen, because those tubs will be in there until those potatoes break through. And then they can come up here to the polytunnel. So you can see once they've broken the surface, they get themselves going.
They all look nice and healthy, aren't they? Lovely.
If you find yourself needing a refresher on how to grow potatoes, or you're new to the channel, maybe new to gardening, and you want to know exactly how to grow potatoes from seed to harvest, then watch this video next. Have a great rest of your gardening week, and we shall see you very soon.